everyone, it's Grace and welcome back to another video. I decided, since it's like a third of the way through the year right now, we're finishing April and starting May. I guess it's like gonna be mid-May by the time this goes up, but regardless, I thought that it would be the perfect time to do another series update. And this is for me as well, because I have been like updating my finished, unfinished, caught up series, but I haven't done like an update like that even just internally for me in maybe a month. So I wanted to look at where things were at and how many series fall under each category and basically just how I'm doing and how I feel about it. So I feel pretty good, honestly. What I did was, in terms of finished series, I am only counting series that I have finished in the year 2022, but in terms of series that I'm caught up on and series that I'm not finished, that of course rolls over from year to year, because if I'm caught up on a series, I'm still caught up on it until the next book comes out, and if I'm in the middle of a series, then I'm in the middle of a series. So with that being said, the actual numbers for this are I have finished 2 series so far in the first 4 months of 2022, which I am happy with, and I've made progress on others, so that is going pretty well. In terms of being caught up on series, I have 5 series that I am caught up on, and then I have 13 series that are unfinished, and so those will hopefully be my priorities going forward in this year. So let's talk about what series they are. So first off, what did I finish? Well, the 2 series that I finished in this year so far are both trilogies, and they were both awesome. I actually have dedicated reviews for both of these trilogies as a whole, so I will leave those videos linked in the description. But the first one is the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, and even though this is part of her larger Realm of the Elderlings, which I am going to work my way through, I am going to be considering each series in this world separately. So this is in a way both a finished series and an unfinished series, because I do fully intend to eventually read the whole Realm of the Elderlings, but the Farseer trilogy was the first installment and I finished it in the month of January, and Robin Hobb is just amazing, so I'm really happy to be continuing with her books already. And then the second series that I finished in the first part of this year was the Winternight trilogy by Katherine Arden, which I started in December and wrapped up in, I believe it was March. And so that was a pretty quick turnover just because I was really loving the Winternight trilogy. I think that it's really unique to some other things that are being done in fantasy right now. The books are also quite short and it's a trilogy, so all of those things just combine to make it an easy and really enjoyable read, and so those are the 2 series that I finished so far this year. Now, in terms of series that I am caught up on, I actually think that all of these I have only read 1 book in, and the further books in the series just have not come out yet, or actually 4 of the 5. That applies to. So the first one is Alex Stern by Leigh Bardugo, and this is the one that is Ninth House, her adult novel, and I read Ninth House a couple of years ago now, so if it came to it, I think that I would have to reread it before continuing on with the series, but as it stands, there is only 1 book out in that series, and I do believe that based on what Goodreads says, the sequel is planned for 2023, so I have plenty of time to still be caught up on this one. Then the second one, and the only series that I have read multiple books in so far, or novellas, is The Singing Hills cycle by Neve Vo. So last fall I read The Empress of Salt and Fortune and When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, and I really enjoyed both of them. They are really interesting, atmospheric little novellas with a really cool style of storytelling, where the clerk that we're following are a cleric actually. They are going around their world collecting stories because that is what they do, and we as the audience are having these stories told to us as the cleric is recording them and basically going to record them and then bring them back to their order to add them to the accounts of their world. So I really enjoyed both of these, and there is another novella coming out in this series called Into the Riverlands, but I believe that that is not until October. So for the moment, I am caught up in this one. And then the next two are both new releases, new 2022 releases, and I have read both of them earlier this year, and then I pre-ordered both of these books. And so the first one is the Kithamar trilogy by Daniel Abraham, which started with Age of Ash, and then the second one is The Empire of the Wolf by Richard Swan, and that is The Justice of Kings, which I also read. These were January and February reads for me, and I have dedicated reviews for both of those books because of the fact that they were both ARCs, and so I received those from NetGalley in exchange for a review. So I will also leave those videos linked if you are interested. And both of those books I thought were pretty solid entries into new series. Daniel Abraham, I have faith in him to craft something really cool, and I'm excited to see how it continues from there. And I really enjoyed The Justice of Kings. Looking back, I think it's a little bit less remarkable or memorable than I thought upon first finishing it, but I still have like generally positive feelings towards it, and I think that like the things that I said in my review still stand. I just might have a rating that's a little bit lower, maybe like 4 stars instead of 4.5 type of thing. But on the whole, both very good books. And then the 5th series that I am caught up on is the Illborn Saga by Daniel T. Jackson. I read Illborn recently. What month was that? March? Yeah. And I liked it, but I think that there is a lot more potential there for Daniel T. Jackson. So I don't know that there's any information about a sequel in that world. I should probably look at Daniel T. Jackson's socials instead of Goodreads, maybe. But I think that for all 3 of those, they're all relatively recent releases, and I think that I have a while yet where I will be caught up on those. So let's get into my unfinished series, because that is the largest chunk of this list, because there are 13 of them. And then, well, there are sort of 14. I will start with my honorable mention, which is Dawnshard from the Stormlight Archive, but I do believe that I am going to save Dawnshard for my big reread of Stormlight, which I am fully planning to do to prepare for the release of the 5th book. Obviously, I'm not going to start yet, but yeah, I think that it will be best for me to approach it that way, just because right now Stormlight is not super fresh in my mind. So if I read Dawnshard, I don't think I would be getting the full experience, and I think it would be better to leave it for my reread. But for the main body of my list, the first one is The Gentleman Bastards by Scott Lynch. I still need to read The Republic of Thieves, and I've spoken about this before. I really want to read it, but I also don't want to read it until there's news about book 4, but who knows? I may end up reading it in this year anyway, because I do love that series, and it's just there teasing me on my shelf. The second series on my list is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, which I most certainly have been making progress through. I only have 3 books left in that series, and one of them I am planning to start very soon, which is The Gathering Storm, book 12, and right now my intention is to read a book per month, like I've been mostly doing, and so that will take me through to July, and hopefully I will finish The Wheel of Time in July. That would be phenomenal if that would be possible for me. Then next up, number 3, we have the Serpent and Dove series by Shelby Mahurin, and I really enjoyed Serpent and Dove. There was no real reason for me to put off Blood and Honey as long as I have, but I have, so I hope that one of these days I will just pick that up. I'm gonna try and allow myself more mood reading, because I think that that will be better for me going forward. I think that that will be more enjoyable, so we will see what happens. I have 2 books left in that one because it is a trilogy, but I own the second one but not the third one, so I'll probably read the second one and see how it goes and see how I feel about finishing. Next up, number 4, we have the City Watch Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, and so Ben and I are buddy reading that series, and we have read 4 books. The next one that we have coming up is The Fifth Elephant, and so we have 3 more books in that series because it is composed of 7 books. So books 5, 6, and 7 are still on the agenda, and that is one that will definitely be finished at some point this year as well. I think maybe towards the end of the summer or early fall we'll be able to get that done. Number 5 is The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne, and this is a series that I think of as being quite average in my enjoyment of it. I don't necessarily think that it's bad, but it's also not necessarily jumping off the shelf at me for me to continue with it. And it's not because I didn't like it. I did think that the ideas are really cool and that the plot is very fast-paced and that the progression of it is interesting. And so I do intend to continue with this series. I just don't know quite when. It would be great if I could finish it this year though, because 2 books is not actually that much when they are pretty easy reads. I'm able to get through them pretty quickly. Number 6 is Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan, which I have 3 books left in and admittedly is just not a priority. I think of these as really fun and really fluffy and lighthearted, but now that there's an adaptation coming out, maybe this is a little bit more of the motivation that I need, because if I finish this series, then I will definitely be looking forward to watching the adaptation. Number 7 is The Band by Nicholas Eames, which, as far as I know, is only a duology of like companion style books. It's not a direct sequel, but I still need to read Bloody Rose after reading Kings of the Wild, and so I was not super worried about reading those close together because I don't believe that they are directly connected, even though there are connections between the 2 stories in terms of character relations. But I think that Nicholas Eames and Kings of the Wild, like, they're really fun, and I am kind of just waiting until I'm in the mood for something like that again. Next up, number 8 is Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson, and I'm really not sure how I want to approach this because I have read 1 book. I read The Alloy of Law last July, and when I read The Alloy of Law, it had been about 6 months or so since I finished Mistborn Era 1, and so that was still relatively fresh in my head, but it has been a long time now since I read The Alloy of Law, so I kind of think that I'm gonna have to reread it, and I'm going to have to like continue with the series that way. And what I might do is just wait until Mistborn Era 2 is completed with the book later this year, and then just kind of try and read them all closer together as a unit. And I think that that'll probably be the best for me in terms of my experience and my ability to remember the significance of events that happen. Number 9 is The Aurelian Cycle by Rosaria Munda, and this is Fireborn and Flamefall, and I do believe it's going to be a trilogy, but I don't know. For some reason, I really just can't remember right now. But regardless, I do know that Flamefall is out and that I need to read it, so there is at least 1 more book in that series that I could catch up on. Number 10 is the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, which I have 2 more books in because I've read The Blade itself, and I'm not sure how to approach this one either because I enjoyed The Blade itself, but I'm not sure how much I remember in terms of, I do remember the events that took place, but in terms of the inner workings of the politics and the nuances of what went on there, I might dive into the next one and see how I feel when I start it and see if I'm confused and adrift and lost. And if I am, then I might have to consider rereading The Blade itself. But we will see, because that is another series that I fully intend to continue with because I enjoyed a lot about what Joe Abercrombie did in the first one. Number 11 is a series that is definitely going to be getting completed soon, and that is The Live Ship Traders by Robin Hobb. So I kind of have 1.5 books in this one left because I am currently reading Mad Ship, the second book. So I kind of consider it as having 1 book left because obviously I'm already reading Mad Ship. I'm going to finish it and I am absolutely loving it. It's Robin Hobb even better than she was in her first trilogy, and by all accounts she just continues to improve. So I am having such a good time and I am so excited to continue even further further in the realm of the Elderlings, but just in terms of how much Ben and I are enjoying Live Ship Traders, I'm pretty certain that within the next month and a half, will be finished. And then numbers 12 and 13 are actually both new additions to this list for different reasons. And number 12 is The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill, and the reason that this is a new addition is because I genuinely just started the series. I am partway through Of Blood and Fire right now, and I am really enjoying it. So that is definitely not exactly a pleasant surprise, because I did expect to like it, but sometimes these days, there are books that I'm just not sure what I'm gonna think going in, and I'm really, really happy to see that my thoughts on this one kind of align with the positive feelings that other people have on it. So that is always really, really awesome. And Ryan Cahill, on social media and stuff on Twitter, he seems like a great guy. So it's one of those things where when I have more of an idea of the reality of the author being there in the community, I really, really, really hope that it's something I'm gonna love. So I'm really happy to say that that is a great experience so far. And as far as I can tell, there are 4 more books to go into after this one. A couple of them are novellas and one of them is a prequel, but just as a whole, there are 5 books in this series. 2 of them I believe are not out yet, but are planned to come out soon. I don't know, but regardless, I'm kind of taking the highest number that it could be so that I'm being realistic about how many books I'm planning to get to in this series. And then number 13 is Between Earth and Sky by Rebecca Roanhorse, and the reason that this is on the unfinished series list is because it went from being one that I was caught up on to one that I was no longer caught up on, because the sequel, I believe it's called A Fevered Star, came out in the month of April, and I do intend to get to this because I did like Black Sun, but I really don't know when. So this is not one of my higher priority series, although it was one that I enjoyed and I definitely want to continue with it. Okay, so those are all of the series that I finished, am caught up on, or am in the middle of for spring 2022. I feel pretty comfortable with where I am. I think that for the rest of this year, of course, I'm still going to read what I want to read, but I think that my focus should probably be on finishing some of these and finishing what I started. And for a few of them, I have concrete plans to do just that, so I'm very happy about that, and I feel like this is manageable. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like if you liked it. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Check out the description for information about my Discord and socials, and I post new videos every Monday and Thursday, so I will hopefully see you in the next one, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!